What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bluegrass State of Mind, the show where three college roommates talk life, sports, and all the ridiculous things that happen in an apartment we like to refer to as Room 302. We're bringing you stories, hot takes, and the kind of late-night debates that probably should have stayed in the group chat.
So grab your headphones, sit back, and get ready for a wild ride through our past college life, sports, and everything in between. Let's get into it. This is Bluegrass State of Mind.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. Fellas, we have a lot to get through tonight. Again, with us just recording once a week, it seems like we have a lot more to talk about. It gives us some more time to, dig up some information and some analytics, stats, whatever it may be. But we're going to start off tonight with some NBA talk. Obviously we have the finals set with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers. I know this wasn't on our to-do list tonight, but I just wanted to go ahead and mention that because, it's the NBA finals. Just a real quick, you are talking about two smaller markets meeting in the NBA. I've seen a lot of news about how, is this good for the NBA? Is it bad for the NBA? My first initial thoughts is it's bad for the NBA. And the reason why is because when you're talking about the NBA and its viewership, it's not good. And the reason why it's not good is because there's so many teams, that have stars who are sitting out and not playing. Well, when you're talking about this team, the two teams that we're talking about, and you're talking about stars, they lack stars. I mean, other than the Oklahoma City Thunder, I know you could say, well, that's not very true because, the Thunder have the MVP this year. Other than that, though, it's not a star-studded field, and, there's nobody that's like in awe of who's going to be playing. I probably won't be watching much of it. I figure I'll watch maybe tomorrow night's game, which will be when this episode releases, which will be yesterday's game because it'll be on Thursday. Other than that, though, I don't see myself watching much of this series unless it gets very interesting, and I just don't see it. I think it's going to be a sweep. I do. Mason, what's some of your thoughts? Then we'll get into our other NBA talk.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's bad for the NBA too, and maybe a little bit of a hot take here. But, we've mentioned before here on this podcast that we got to grow up in a great era of watching NBA basketball, right? We had some all-time greats with LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, kind of dominating the league for the last 10, 15 years. And I think now that you're starting to see some of these guys, kind of get to their older age and get to the end of their career, we don't really have those type of players. Like, yes, we have great players, don't get me wrong, but we don't have these, once-in-a-lifetime type players. So I feel like this may become a little more common in the NBA. Yes, you're still going to have your teams, like the Thunder are probably going to be good for a few years. But every year, it was like, oh, LeBron, Steph, or, you expected one of them to make the finals. So I think this is something we're going to start seeing going forward. You still got your Jason Tatum and the Celtics who are really good, the Thunder who are going to be really good. But I just think with some of these generational, once-in-a-lifetime type players like LeBron and Steph, getting to the end of their career, we're going to start seeing this a little more where you can put these teams together that they just have all these pieces, right? And you don't have these guys who just carry these teams to NBA Finals. So we'll see what happens going forward. Like you said, Dylan, I probably won't watch a whole lot of it. I mean, I do like SGA. I like the Thunder, so I'll watch some of it. But it's not like I'm going to be, locked in on every game, watching every game.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on just the finals itself?
Yeah, the viewership is probably going to be down if I had to guess. I mean, it just is.
I don't think there's any question. I think it's going to be down a lot.
It is, but now I won't say like I enjoyed watching the Pacers when I watch them. I don't have like an urge to watch them, but like I think they play like I do like that like you don't see defense a lot in the NBA anymore, right? And then all of a sudden here you have a Thunder team who is like not only got the MVP, but like they're known for their defense. Right. So I mean that's the thing when you talked about the Warriors teams and even LeBron and them, like you talked about that, but the one thing you never mentioned about those teams was like, oh man, these are great defensive teams. So I mean I will say that that is good for the Warriors. I will say this. The only the only thing, like the positive thing about this though, is that LeBron's about to retire. Right, Steph's not far away.
Positive.
I mean,
It's
he's going to within a
I
couple
know.
years. You know what I'm
I
saying
know.
though. But like they're going to be gone. Steph will be too. Kevin Durant's not far from it. Right, so then you're going to turn into a new generation of SGA, Wemby, right? All these different ones, and they're all spread out. Right, they're all on different teams. You don't have powerhouse team. You have like you said, the Celtics are probably the next closest powerhouse team that's in the NBA. But eventually, Tatum and Brown may split up, right? And Tatum may go somewhere, Brown may go somewhere. But you're gonna have Wemby on one team. You have SGA on a team. Cooper Flag's getting ready to get drafted. Maybe he goes to the Spurs with the right. Is it no the Mavericks? I mean,
Mavericks.
they had Mavericks. So you're gonna have them on a different team, and so if you start to spread out, as to Anthony Edwards, right? He's probably the closest thing to the next, could be the next like type of LeBron slash Steph Curry, like those type of players here in 10 years. You may look back and say that guy's the guy, but they're all playing in different markets right now. So I don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing that you're starting to have a lot of teams now with that different superstar. And so it could be a different team winning every year. Like you said, the Warriors or LeBron have been in the finals. Out of the last 15 years, how many finals have there
Five
been
percent of the time, probably.
without one of them?
Oh,
Right,
yeah,
one of them have been in what 90% of them, right? I mean,
yeah.
so maybe it's a good thing, obviously, because the LeBron and Steph fans, they're going to be heartbroken, but eventually they'll find a new player to love. And who will that be? Maybe they'll spread it out this time.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I mean, it's going to hurt the viewership. It's going to be down. There's no doubt about it. But in the long run, maybe it'll be a good thing that the talent is spread around and could be a different team each year, right?
Yeah. Well, there is one team. Let's just move on since we're talking about the NBA. There is one team that wishes they were being mentioned in the NBA Finals, and that is the New York Knicks. And unfortunately, the news has cracked that they have decided to part ways with Tom Thibodeau, who was hired in 2020, been there 5 years. So just some things I've got, and if y'all want to add on, you can just throw it in there. But this was the best Knicks run in 25 years. Tom Thibodeau has won a playoff series in 3 consecutive seasons. He's had back-to-back 50-win seasons. And, I think he's kind of established the culture of winning again in the New York. Um, to be honest with you, I wasn't really surprised at this move for the Knicks. I was ultimately more surprised whenever the firing of like a Mike Malone. That kind of, I think that was more surprising for me. But then I got to sitting there thinking of it today. You're talking about a Mike Malone who was fired. Then you talk about a Taylor Jenkins who was fired, who were two great coaches who had winning records. And then you have Tom Thibodeau, who literally just took a team to the conference finals, who hadn't been there for 25 years. Like, I, it's turning. What I'm afraid it's happening is that the NBA, these established coaches are like, there's no more going, and I think we've talked a little bit about this already, but like, there's no more Eric Spoelstras. There's no more Greg Popoviches. There's no more Mike D'Antoni's. There's no more Phil Jacksons.
Steve Kerr's.
Yeah, you're Steve, like, there's really, you're seeing a transition of the coaches that the markets are after now are more your player coaches and very young coaches that kind of have been in the league, in the mix of the league, but not out of it fairly long. I think that it's more of a players ran league more so than any other league that I can think of when you're talking about professional athletes, professional anything. I think the players have a lot of say in the front office. Whether the front office is going to come out there and say it, like it, other than the fact that, let's just say, whenever the Lakers went and got Luka, I truly do believe that LeBron was out of that. He had no idea. Like, based on what I've read and what I've watched, like, I think that he really didn't have any idea. But Like in the hiring of J.J. Redick, yeah, I'm not convinced at all that LeBron didn't play a big role into that. Take the firing of Mike Malone. I think Jokic knew about that and was probably a little bit of a front runner. Yeah, I do. Whether he'll say that or admit it, I mean, like they go to their star players like, listen, you're on the court, you're going to be providing the wins and the losses, and you're going to be the one who's going to be on the actual court. What do you think would be the best move here? Now, not all guys are like that, but I think most front offices realize, hey, we need to talk to our players who are going to be actually participating in the game and who will be the ones on the court. So let's get some insight on what they see, what they like. And, based on that, from everything that I've said thus far, the Knicks were not very high on Tom Thibodeau, the players in themselves. He made a lot of decisions that they really didn't like. Mason, I'll let you elaborate more on this, but you talk about the minutes that these players were having to play. It was hard on their bodies. A lot of them, the substitutions at times didn't make much sense. He was playing a lot of guys at the wrong times and a lot of guys at the right times, or the wrong guys at the right times. So, it was. I don't know if this is the best thing for the Knicks once you've established this, but I do know that it was trending, and it wasn't no surprise to me. Mason, I know you shaking your head. Go for it. What are your thoughts on this firing of Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks organization?
So initially, I like the firing of Tom Thibodeau, and I'll get into that here in just a second. But to harp on a little bit about you saying, it's trending more towards players, coaches right now in the NBA. And I think that's completely true. I mean, these guys have been playing basketball their whole life. Almost a lot of these teams have veteran guys on it. I think in the NBA, you're coaching and coaches. It comes down to end of game scenarios, being able to limit runs, call timeouts when you need to, things like that. You know, I don't think coaching plays a huge role in the NBA other than being able to get your guys bought in and play hard. But I mean, as far as just going out there and playing basketball, a lot of times we see a lot of, one-on-one ball, pick and roll ball. So I think a lot of that comes back to being a player's coach, being able to connect with your players, getting them to buy in and listen to you, and then being able to coach at those end of game scenarios, limit runs, using your timeouts effectively, being able to substitute correctly. And that kind of brings me back to Tom Thibodeau. I think it's a good move for the Knicks. I really do. I mean, he has a losing record in the playoffs. All right. What's your goal as the Knicks? They want to win an NBA championship. He has a 48-55 record in the NBA playoffs. He's 24-23 with the Knicks. I think he was like 24-32 with the Bulls or something like that. But you have a coach who's come in. Yes, he got you to this point, but he's never proven that he can get past that point ever. And I've told y'all, I think I've talked about it once on here, and then I talked about it again in the group message the other day. I mean, there was just one thing that completely stood out to me in this playoffs, and I didn't watch the Knicks throughout the season a whole lot. I really just started watching them in the playoffs. But this one game, I think they were playing the Pistons. It was a pretty significant game, and they ended up winning that series. But I think the Pistons were down, 3-1 or 2-1 or whatever it was. And Brunson and Hart both get banged up. They come out of the game. And there's, I don't know, 2 minutes left in the game. Knicks are down 3 or 4. And obviously, you need to win this game. You need to get your best players back into the game. He just lets the clock run for like a minute and 30 seconds. They didn't come back in until there was like 37 seconds left in the game, and it was already too late. And to me, he still had a timeout. Have somebody take a foul, do something to get your best players back in the game like that. I know that's an isolated scenario there that I'm talking about, but as a coach, it is your job to put your team in the best position to win. And he did not do that in that particular playoff game. And that stuck with me. I mean, if I was a Knicks fan, think about it. If we're Kentucky fans and Mark Pope does that next year, we have our two best players go out. They're sitting out for 2 minutes. We need them in there. We're down 3 or 4. It's a one possession, 2 possession game. He lets them sit for a minute and a half, minute 40 seconds. Doesn't call a timeout. Doesn't have somebody foul to get them back in the game. Doesn't do anything. We end up losing that game. We're going to feel the same type of way. Like, why didn't you get our best players back in the game and give us the best possible chance to win? So I think it's a good move for him. I do. He hasn't proven he can win, and we'll see what happens going forward. I think they got the pieces. Just got to get somebody in there who can get them to take that next step.
And before you go, Colton, I guess for me too, another thing is like I guess I just don't understand, I guess, the trend that's occurring. Like, when I think of the Knicks, you think of the market brand, the Knicks are must see TV, like they're one of the biggest organizations and franchises in the NBA. So, the standard is really, really high. And you take a Tom Thibodeau who's came in and he's provided them they've won series or three playoff series and three consecutive seasons. Like that's something to be said in the NBA. That's good. I mean, it's not great, but I mean, at least you're winning a series. And then I get to thinking about, well, the Memphis Grizzlies, Taylor Jenkins, like they hadn't, and then they fire him. So like, was the firing because the standard was not being met? Because let's just take the Memphis Grizzlies. If they would have won three consecutive seasons, is this same thing happening? Is he being fired? But then you say Taylor Jenkins, he didn't even provide that, and he was fired. Like, so, what's good enough? Like, I mean, that makes you appreciate, like the Steve Kerr who's been in that same position and improved himself over and over. But like, what is the end goal here? Like, how are you? Like, at some point, I feel like you've got to keep a guy to build off of that. Like, and I know that's just not how it's worked in today's time, but man, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's won. He's proven he's won. Now I know that you say he's not proven when it comes time to actually win, but I mean, he's had back-to-back 51 seasons. He just led them to a uh, Eastern Conference Finals. So I agree to disagree with you all. I just don't really know like what. It's just a hard time to be an NBA coach right now. Colton, go ahead.
All I'll say is that for the Knicks to do this, you better get the next hire right. Because anything less than the Eastern Conference Finals next year or championship, you failed. You did. You can't go backwards now. You just fired a guy that took you to the first Eastern Conference Finals in 25 years. And if you go backwards next year, you are back to a poverty franchise. Simple as that. Irrelevant. So you better get it right. And I don't understand the move at all. Uh, I just don't. People, especially the Knicks, right? It's one thing if you were known for like greatness, right? Like the Lakers are kind of still like that, right? Where like JJ Redick, like they've been through a couple head coaches here, but they won a title back in the bubble there in COVID, and it wasn't what when they won another one what like 2014 or 20, something like that 2010. Like theirs have been, but the Knicks haven't been relevant. Like we're not talking about like just missing, like not even being relevant for 25 years. And this coach has come in and actually made you relevant, and you get rid of him. I mean, I don't understand it to the point that's like, I mean, because like here's my thing. Outside of a LeBron coach and a Steph coach or a Steve Kerr, like the guys who are coaching these players, who else is winning? Right? The Celtics because they're loaded, but you don't. It's not like we have, Mike Malone won one because he has the best player in the world, right? Who have the Knicks got in the
So
last few years? Like,
that's kind of like, is it so much the coaches at this point? That's what I was saying. Like, it has to be a player's coach. Like, I don't think the coaches are that important now. Like, you have your team that are full of players. You just got to get a coach that can get in there. And like I said, playoffs come around. It's about making adjustments. It's end of game scenarios. It's limiting runs, and I just don't think he did a good job of doing that during the playoffs. Substitutions, eliminating the runs from the other teams. Different things like that. I don't think it's so much, X's and O's so much in the NBA. It's about these little things. And I mean, yes, the Knicks haven't been good for the last 15 years or so, but they've also just got these players in the last few years, and I think that's a lot of part of the success that he's had.
I mean, I don't disagree, but at the same time, I mean, like, how much of it is a player's coach just being a player, like a guy that like does whatever the players want, and like at what point does the coach like actually should have some control and say, right? Like, I mean, you know what I feel like has happened. You've watched some coaches in this day and era. And I will say this: watch some of the great coaches. How have they slowly their success went down? And why is that? Is it because the league and owners have kind of allowed these players to be the guys? Right? I mean, look at Pops the last 10 years after Duncan and all them retired. Nothing, right? Spoelstra, really. I mean, made that one little run there with Jimmy Butler, but since D Wade and LeBron and them left, not really been that much. I mean, none of these guys really have. Like they're not being successful. And how much is it? Here's a great here's a great coach that has really not had any success yet is still coaching. Is Billy Donovan. I mean, what has he done at the Chicago Bulls? Right?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. He's probably been there what now? 5, 6, 7 years? And I don't know that they've had a winning record, but he's still there. They're getting into that play-in game every year now that they've extended it to 10 teams, but they're not getting past that. But they keep, Billy Donovan's still there. But you can tell he's probably one of those that he's allowed the system of players like the players are running the organization. He's fell into that because he is not that guy.
Yeah, but
Like
they've
he is
also
not.
see that's where I come into. Like they've had nobody. I guess like one of my things with Thibodeau is like, don't get me wrong, I don't think he's a bad coach. I just don't think he has what it takes to take these teams to the next level. I mean, he had Derrick Rose when he was coaching at the Bulls and never did. I mean, he had Derrick Rose. He has this Knicks team that's really good right now, and he still has a losing record in the playoffs.
But who was the last probably most successful coach for the Bulls? Probably Thibodeau. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
because they ain't had anybody really
But they
since.
got
Yes,
but
I
they got
agree.
rid of him, and then how many times do you see that? And you'll see that in a lot of coaches. Which take you take the NFL, right? How long will it take a Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings, right? They've got Jefferson, they've got all these guys, and they've slowly they've been playing really good football. But say they don't get to a Super Bowl within 2 years, but yet they're still winning 13 games a year, 12 games a year. Like, do you move on from Kevin O'Connell? Like, do you do that stuff when like what about all those coaches that they kept moving on, but when you weren't Bill Belichick, right? Like, I mean, there's only one winner at the end of the year, and
I
people keep
agree.
searching as if like there's all these coaches should be winning. I mean, they just don't. I mean, they're not going to. I mean,
No.
you're going to keep looking for coaches, and at the end of the day, there's only one winner each year, and it's usually the guys who have the all stars on their team. So,
Yep. I agree. Let's move on. We're gonna run out of time. So let's go on to our next topic. So over the past weekend, we had the Memorials Jacks tournament at Murfield, uh, where Scottie Scheffler went back to back wins at a score at 10 under, Ben Griffin at a 6 under, and Sepp Straka 5 under in field after that. This is Scottie's third win this season. He's won now at the Byron Nelson in Texas, the PGA Championship, and then he just recently won the Memorial. It's kind of a big turnaround whenever some people were saying that he may not win this season. And people had their doubts. And I mean, I was one of them like, man, I wonder if Scotty's ever going to roll it. But we also were saying, though, when he did win, it was going to be just knocking off win after win. He was going to get on a hot streak, and that's exactly what he has done. And not only is he winning, he is destroying. Scotty won the Byron Nelson by 8 strokes, the PGA Championship by 5, and the Memorial by 4. I mean, like, this is like coming into 17 on all these tournaments. Scotty's had a pretty measurable lead. Like, just hit the fairway on 17, it's game over pretty much. I mean, like, not really anything like, oh man, is Scotty going to win? Like, is he going to give it away? Like, it's not come down to that. I don't know if y'all ran across this stat, but I ran across this. I thought it was pretty cool. Is Scotty has earned his 16th career PGA Tour victory, and it is recorded as it only behind Sam Snead, Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods. He is only behind those 3 guys, and from the start that he won his first PGA tournament, to the 16th tournament quicker. So, other than Sam Snead, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger, Scheffler is right after those guys from the first time he won his first tournament at the WM Phoenix Open to now winning the Memorial. Again, seems like, we're talking about him every week. Well, it's because he's winning every week. The guy is an absolute on a tear. I There's really nothing else you can say other than the fact, he's just proven over and over. And I don't know if y'all saw today where Rory came out today in his press conference and was talking about, other than Tiger, he was just talking about how like impressive that, Scottie just don't mess up. He shoots bogey free rounds the more than any that he's known. And then I was watching something else where Jordan Spieth was just talking about at Memorial, like how he just hits the center of the club face every time. It's boring golf. And it, if I'm a PGA Tour player, you're getting asked about Scotty a lot. And that's aggravating. Like, here and there, you're like, okay, Scotty, he's a great guy. I want to talk about him. But it's got to be like, can we please stop asking about Scotty? Yeah, he's good. I know he's good. But, has he earned that right? Whenever Tiger was in his prime, I'm sure it's the same thing. People over and over and over. What about Tiger? How can you manipulate your game after Tiger? How can you manipulate this after Scotty? It's got to be exhausting hearing all that. But Colin, what are your thoughts on Big Scotty?
Yeah, so it's to the point now that like you just every time he tees it up, you think he's gonna win, which you haven't seen since Tiger, right? I think someone asked on Twitter that Brandel Chambly, they're like, "What do you think the winning score will be at Oakmont?" And all his reply was, "Whatever Scotty shoots." Really, that's the truth. Really, you look, he may or may not win it, but
He's
I'm
going
not
to be
gonna
in the
bet.
mix.
I'm not gonna
He's
bet
going to be in
against
the
him.
mix.
I guarantee you, he's top 15. Like it's happening. Like it's happening. If not top 10, I'd almost bet about everything I had to get top 10 for sure. Um, but it's just, and he does it. He makes it so simple. Even this tournament, right? Up until about halfway through the round Saturday, like you, he shot 2 under the first round. I think 7 under was leading, right? And
And it
then he
was a
comes
challenging 2 under. That was whenever it
right.
was pouring rain. He had a morning wave, I believe, or was he the afternoon wave?
Was
I think
that
it was.
no? That was Friday, wasn't it?
When it was
That
what?
when he was
Yes,
Thursday.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Friday,
I'm saying
Friday.
Thursday's round. I think he shot 2 under, and the lead was at 7.
Yes,
And then
He was
Friday's
yes.
still
round,
the favorite.
Friday.
I think he
Yeah,
shot 3 under
and he
on
came out in the morning
Friday.
wave when it was pouring rain, and
Right.
he didn't have the good drawing because it
And I
stopped
think
in the
I
afternoon
think
wave.
the lead was still at. I think the lead was 8 under after Friday. I think Griffin was that. So but after the first day, he's down 5. Right, and he's like, I don't know, tie for 15, tie for 18, something like
He
that.
was still the favorite, down 5 shots.
Yes. And that's what it just slowly goes. And then the thing is, he parred the first 13 holes
Yep.
on Saturday. And you're like, oh, where's Scotty? And then all of a sudden he birdies 4 of his last 5. And Scotty's leading by 1 at the end of the round. And you're like, well, what's going on? And that's just Scotty. Like, he don't, it does not matter. Just wait till Sunday and turn the TV on and you're going to see him. I remember growing up, that's the one thing that I do recall about Tiger in my first, like when I first really started watching it, was every time you looked, like every time I would immediately look at the scoreboard and you would just always see Woods up there on the scoreboard they had. They were just Woods was somewhere in that top 10 to 15 every time. And that's Scotty right now. And there's just no signs of slowing down. He's going to go through spurts of maybe he don't make as many putts, right? And that's probably what keeps him from winning. But at the end of the day, his ball striking alone and his poise and the way that he, can go about it with the mindset, he's not going to be outside the top 25. Like he's just not going to be. When's the last time he missed a cut?
It's a good question.
He may have actually missed one somewhere, and I just don't remember it. But it can't be more than 1 or 2 in the last 3 years. I
Yeah.
mean, it's insane, which is, that's an insane Tiger stat. I can't remember what his was. It was like 680 something events without missing a cut. It's almost like
Yeah,
12 years.
yeah. It's almost what's the guy off of what what's the guy who has the arm, has all the stones?
Oh, Thanos.
Thanos. Yeah, it's almost like Thanos, like just getting all the power. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Couldn't
that's
think there
Scotty.
for a second. Go ahead, Mason. What are your thoughts?
I mean, y'all pretty much summed it up. I saw somebody said something. I think it was Colton off. Somebody tweeted at him, and was like, "You should be ashamed for saying Scotty has boring golf." And he's like, "What are you talking about? Like that's a compliment." It's like fairway green. Like it's boring golf, but it's good golf. And that's why he's kind of dominated right now. So I mean, he's it's unreal right now. He leads the he leads the tour in strokes gained total off the tee, approach to green. I think about the only thing he doesn't lead in is putting and driving distance. But the run he's on right now is incredible. And like you said, Golden, you look up there every weekend and there he is. He comes out. He may par the first 15 holes, but once he gets hot and starts making a few, and that's got to feel awful, right? You're in a tournament and you got a 6-shot lead, and you still don't feel safe because Scottie Scheffler's behind you. It's like, man, he could just turn it on at any time. He's still the betting favorite right now, and I am 6 shots up on this man. So it's incredible. We talked about it. Once he got one, they'd started to roll off, and he's won what, 3 out of his last 4? Is that right? 3 out of the last 4 he's been in. So we'll see if he keeps it up. I think he wins a couple more at least. But incredible what we're watching right now.
Mason, you want to listen to the NBA All Star format change?
Yep. So starting next year, NBA All Star Game has come out with a new format that it is going to be USA versus the world for the 2026 All Star Game. And I think part of this kind of stemmed from, based off what I was reading, was how the NHL this past year, they kind of had that Four Nations thing. And everybody, USA was really bought into it, and all the countries were bought into it, Canada. So I think that kind of sparked a lot of interest and kind of, I know it had been in the works and a little bit in the talks, but I think that's kind of what finally, sent them over the edge to decide to do this, try to get a little bit more engagement back in the All Star game, get the viewership up. And I think it'll be really interesting. But Dylan, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you think about this new format here?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this whenever the All Star Game event was happening. Like, this was our proposal, like one of them. We're like, why not do this? And I think the, I think the commissioner got it right. That is one thing that I think the NBA does well is they are open to change when they see something that they would like to, change. They're not afraid to uh, do it right away. I think Adam Silver is a really good I think he's a good commissioner. He hears the players, but he also hears the fans' perspective. And ultimately, the job was, let's get viewership up. Let's get these guys to where they'll actually compete. And that's what I think this is going to do. I think that if it was just, up to the United States players, the USA players, I can't 100% be like, yeah, they're going to compete. But here's what I can do. I can promise, well, I guess but I do fully expect for Team World to take this serious. And with them taking this serious at the beginning of the stages of the game, USA is going to be like, they're going to watch, and they're like, USA, they listen. The players, they know what's going on. They're seeing the rumbles about, Team Europe, or let's say not Team Europe. I'm thinking of golf, but they're seeing all this. Well, the world is taking on basketball. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the Joker, Giannis Antetokounmpo,
Luca.
Luca, like all these guys. I mean, is the NBA, is the America is has basketball surpassed America? You don't think that these NBA players from America are listening? They know what's going on, and that's why they all assembled the Avengers team, the Dream Team, and went over and kicked butt in the Olympics and won. Like that's the whole reason why they done that. So that's what the hope is for this All-Star weekend. Is, yes, it's going to be a relaxed weekend. But whenever the ball's tipped up on that Sunday, the hope is that Team Europe is going to take it very serious and USA will respond, ultimately creating a world's challenge. And that's what we want to see. We want to see the best players going head to head. Like that's what audience and fans want to see. We don't want to see some weird format where it's like first to 50, all that nonsense. Throw that out the window. Just play basketball. That's all we want to see.
Kobe?
Yeah, I mean, I think the pride aspect will make it more competitive, right? I mean, you're going to take a little more pride in your being from the certain country, you're being, international or from America. So I do think that'll add to it. I mean, it's obviously not going to be an Olympic competitiveness. I mean, because a lot of those guys they still just view it as a break. Like to me, like the Joker, as much as he talks about just like ready to get done with the off season and go home and sit on the couch. Like
He's ready to
for
go
me,
watch horses.
right,
His
whatever he wants to
obsession
do
with
in the off
horses.
season, the man is ready to be done. So I can tell you, like, I feel like during the All Star game, like he's going to do it because he's a professional. But at the same time, like that man when he gets those type of breaks, he's like, I really don't want to do anything with basketball, right? Like
But I
that.
do like though that they're trying to take the right step. Like I think this was the
Oh
best
yeah, no,
step
it was
forward
I mean, this is one of the
for the
proposals that we
game.
thought. For sure. I mean, I think you're going to get a more competitive aspect to it. I mean, I just do. So I
Well, then
mean,
who are you going with? You
I
gonna go with rocking
look.
with Team USA or rocking World?
No, I'm rocking the world. I
Yeah.
am. I just think. Look. I think I actually said America when we
You
talked about the
did. I was the
proposal.
only one that said the Team World.
But man, we just got so old.
Yeah, that's the only thing. If you're
Like
talking about
we've
the
just gotten
primes,
so old in the prime, yeah, but we've gotten so old. I mean, we just are. We need if you gave me two other Anthony Edwards type guys, I would say America probably USA, but I just don't think there's enough. I mean, because gosh, I mean, what's the oldest? Joker's probably the oldest of those international guys,
World is
right?
loaded.
I mean, Giannis and SGA. I mean,
Embiid,
Wemby. Yes,
Luca.
Luke. I mean, what the? I mean, I don't know who Embiid will play for if he's healthy. Who's he
No
going to
telling.
play for? He's both. Like he played for us during the Olympics, but I mean, who's he going to play for during the All Star game? So I mean, they're loaded right now. They're not great at the guard position. I will say after SGA, that is their one advantage is that we are a lot better as far as guards go. So that could be our advantage, but gosh, from 3, 4, 5, they are absolutely stacked. I mean, just stacked. I mean, they're. I mean, they just are. But I do think it'll help the game. I think you got it right as far as making this move. I will be a little more interested in watching it. Right, I'm not a big fan of it, but I will probably tune in for a little bit, just see the competitiveness to see if it changes at all.
yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think it's good for, viewership. I think this first year will be interesting because I really do think the world's going to take it outside of probably Jokic. He's just kind of, whatever. But I think they're going to take it seriously, just because we've always kind of been the king of basketball. So I think they will take it seriously. I'm sure USA will take it seriously, like you said, kind of a pride thing. But we'll see who ends up. It's going to be tough to beat them. I'll say that. But I'd be interested to see, if this continues and it's going well, and it's kind of a thing every year that the guys look forward to and they play hard. I'd say here in the next 3 or 4 years they'll start doing kind of like the Ryder Cup back and forth, right? That'd be kind of cool to see going over there somewhere and one of the guys' home countries and playing there. And I know that's a lot, but it'd probably extend All Star Weekend and doing stuff just to help grow the game. We'll see if that does happen, but with this new format coming out, I could see that potentially happening here in the next 3 or 4 years.
So why don't you lead us into our next one with the Ryder Cup?
Yeah, so we're getting closer to being towards the end of the year. The Ryder Cup is going to happen. I think it's the end of September. Um, so it's always probably the biggest event in golf that's outside of the majors, right? And I mean, it happens every 2 years. They do a point system for automatic qualifiers. Each side takes 6 automatic qualifiers based on points that accumulate over a 2-year period. And right now, essentially they'll continue to give updates. Dylan sent it in a group chat, and just looking at it, our top 6 look really good. You're like, okay, we definitely can roll with this top six. And really, against the top six that they have, the European team, you're like, okay, yeah, we definitely can play that. But what we
Let me
got to
go ahead and
talking
say the
about it,
top six. So
okay,
they know.
give
So
us the
for
top six. No,
So for USA, you got, and I'm going in order by ranking. So starting with 1, Scottie Scheffler; 2, Xander Schauffele; 3, Bryson DeChambeau; 4, Justin Thomas; 5, Colin Morikawa; 6, Russell Henley. And then for Team Europe is 1, Rory McIlroy; 2, Shane Lowry; 3, Sepp Straka; 4, Rasmus Højgaard; 5, Terrell Hatton; and 6, Tommy Fleetwood. Continue.
yeah. So I mean, when you hear those, you're like, okay, USA is solid on that. Europeans got a solid top six, but when you hear that USA top six, you're like, okay, like we're fine. And then the problem you run into is what you didn't hear on the European side, and part of it's due to live, part of it's due to injuries, part of it's due to whatever else, is you didn't hear the name, you didn't hear the name John Rahm, who is, at the one point, really, if he was still on the PGA Tour, would probably be a top three player in the world. You're looking at Ludwig Gobert, which I think is currently, I don't know, he may have failed, but at one point was up to like number 4 in the world. And, just 2 years ago, the FedEx Cup champion and was a stud for their last Ryder Cup team and has found his game and actually won again this year after having a rough last year. Victor Hovland. Right, so you're talking about 3 of their top players from last team, not even on their 6 that are all going to be on that team. The problem we run into is we no longer have like some of our guys that used to be the Ryder Cup studs have fallen off, right? We're talking about DJ, right? Disappeared. You used to think Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka,
Brooks Koepka.
right? Also have all of a sudden fallen off. Spieth has played well this year. I hope that he personally gets a spot, but up until this year, in the last year or two, like he had kind of fallen off. A Ricky Fowler or someone like that. Luckily, JT is back in the playing decent form because he didn't or he got a captain's pick on the last one that a lot of people didn't think he earned. So I mean, a lot of our USA guys. So like right now in the next points, we have a lot of guys that are going to be kind of new to if they get, it's going to be a tough decision because Keegan Bradley is the captain and he's going to have to look and he's going to have to say, man, I've got some veterans that are somewhere in that 15 to 25 in the point standings, guys that they've shown spurts of highlights, but they've been there. They're consistent. They had success in the Ryder Cup. And then I've got some guys that are currently in the top 12 that have never played in the Ryder Cup. They've had some success this year. They're playing very good golf, but they do not know what's coming.
Yeah.
And
I agree with you 100% on that. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I think that like what USA has to really think about and deal with is, yes, there are guys that on rankings and points are higher than some of the guys that you particularly probably want more of. But what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to balance this Team USA to, you can't overload a roster of too many guys who's never been here or had any experience. And that's what I'm afraid that and I don't think they will, but that would be my only fear, is that we jump the gun and we're like, okay, these guys are playing very well, let's put them in there. And then you forget about the guys who's been there before and done that and experience, because when you're talking about Europe, I mean, you didn't even mention your Justin Rose, your Robert McIntyre, your other Hogard. Like, they've had that experience and they are playing well still. And that's what they're known. And there's some more like Aaron Rye.
yeah,
Like, I didn't even mention him.
yeah, just looking at their team, they really have a chance to build almost the same identical team with the exception of like 2 spots. Right. And it's all because these guys are all like, I think John Rahm is ranked like 26. We all know he's going to make it. That's because of the live. He's not getting the chances. Other than that, like everyone else we named and was on that Ryder Cup team 2 years ago is in like the top like 16 or top 15 in points. So like they're all playing there. It's just, and compared to Ayers here, where we've got guys down there in the 40s and 50s that normally are there.
Let's just say us 3 right now are captains. Mason, where are you at? we have our 6. We have Scottie, Xander, Bryson, Justin, Colin Morikawa, Russell Henley. Let's draft our 6 that we're taking to Bethpage.
You
So
just want to go like
Mason,
I'll choose one, you choose one,
well,
Colton choose
but
one.
we got to be in agreement. So here,
Okay.
let's talk this. All right. So
Okay.
Mason, who are we taking first as our captain's pick?
I think one that hopefully we'll all agree with is Patrick Cantlay. I think he's been there before. He's not playing his best golf right now, but he's still playing good golf. I think he's good in the Ryder Cup. He's kind of that guy. He doesn't show a lot of emotion, but he seems like he's always locked in these events, and he plays well in these events. So I'm saying Patrick Cantlay is my first pick.
Yeah, he was the second guy that I had. Cole, go ahead.
Yeah, consensus for sure, Patrick Cantlay. I'm going to go personally. I'm going to go with Spieth. I just think that he has proven enough this year. Obviously, he had that wrist injury last year that kept him from playing well. He ended the season, and then he kind of got back late this season. But since he's been back, I mean, he's carded, I don't know how many it is, but 4 or 5 top 25s, right? A couple top 10s. I mean, he's constantly there. He's showing spurts of really good golf, and he's been there. We've seen him in the Ryder Cup, and have great moments in the Ryder Cup and show some magic and have that fire in him. And he's a great pairing with JT. So I'm thinking Spieth. Are we in agreement with Spieth?
Yeah, I had him on mine as well. And I'll just be upfront with y'all. When I was creating my list, I have 4 guys who I am all in on. Yeah. And then 5 and 6 is where I really struggle. Here's the other one of my other guys is Ben Griffin. I think he's a proven winner this season. I think he's playing his best golf. I know he's a rookie, but we're already overloaded with vets. So throw in a guy. I mean, like I just think that it'd be a disservice to not invite him and be a pick. I mean, he's won twice and he's placed second this past week, and we're not even halfway through, or we're at the midway point almost. But I mean, I think he's played great. So that was one of the guys I thought he was my number one. I was like Ben Griffin, then I had Patrick Cantlay, then Jordan Spieth.
Who's your last lock?
Who's my last lock?
Yeah, who was your fourth that you had for sure?
I mean, y'all may not agree with this. Andrew Novak. I was a toss, and this is where we can talk. Those were my first, like the 3 that like I was for sure on. Andrew Novak was kind of, but let's go ahead and throw some names out. If there's any more that y'all want, but you have Andrew Novak, Harris English, Brian Harmon, Daniel Berger, JJ Spawn, Tom Hoagie, Keegan Bradley, Tony Finau, Akshay Bhatia, Sam Burns, Cam Young, and then your captain, Keegan Bradley. So let's talk about it. I mean, this will be a good conversation real quick to have. So we have our 3 locked in: Ben Griffin, Patrick Cantlay, Jordan Spieth. So who are we going to lock in as our next one?
I want to throw Maverick Manili in that mix too. He's been playing well. I think
he's a birdie guy. He's a good putter.
Yeah.
He's a birdie guy and a good putter, but has he actually
He's
he's played well, but
I think he's top 20 in FedEx Cup points right now.
He is.
He's a top 20 in the world right now.
Yeah.
He's ranked 8th in the Ryder Cup points, I think, total.
Yeah, I think that he was top 10 in Ryder Cup points. I know that. But this is where it gets tough for me.
Okay, here's my okay, so we're with Griffin, Spieth, and Cantlay for sure as a 3. I mean, I would probably listen. I know he's not going to do it because he's going to have to use himself as a captain's pick, but I mean, give me Keegan.
I agree.
I mean, I'm all in on Keegan.
I agree. I think he has a little bit fire in him after what happened at the last Ryder Cup.
I really am all in. The only reason why I didn't put him down is because of him being the captain himself.
Yeah, that's just hard. Himself, but I mean,
dude, well then let's stop picking. I mean, let's go somewhere else. I mean, let's see. If we can't pick you, we can't do that. So who are we going with? I mean, the reason why I like Andrew Novak is Andrew Novak. He's been there all season long. Like he's been in. Like I know he hasn't got the job done, but he's been. Well, he did. He won with Ben Griffin. He showed consistency all year long. Like I think that has to go And I'm not saying let's overload our roster with full of rookies because I do think that at most maybe 3 guys who've not been on there, but for sure 2. And I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to Maverick Manili, but I think you got to throw either Andrew Novak or Maverick Manili. And I know that you've mentioned Sam Burns before, Colton, but I mean, like Sam Burns hasn't. I mean, he's trending now, but you're talking about picking him over a guy who's proven that all season long, like he's been at the top. So like I feel like we can maybe get them later down the road, but are we going to go? Who are we going to go with now?
Brian Harmon.
Oh no, I can't stand Brian Harmon.
Listen, hey, we can sit there and say what we want about Brian Harmon, but at the end of the day, he was actually one of our highlights, our bright spots in that last Ryder Cup.
Yeah, but
He
other
is
than
a
his
match
one
play
win,
machine.
though, he's really not like. I mean, I think he's had. I looked it up because I was like Brian Harmon. I think he's only had 2 top 20 finishes this year, or 2 top 15. Like it wasn't much. Like he's not playing all that great.
I'll be honest with you. If we're going to go with a young rookie outside of Griffin, I would
now.
rather have. Huh?
Check now.
No, heck no.
We
I'd
got to
rather
get the
have.
goal,
I'd,
guys. Come on,
I'd rather have Batia. I think
Akshay.
he's been here for a while now. Like
He's
this
hit or
ain't just
miss.
1 year.
I don't think
Like
they're going. I don't think they're going to pick him. He's not played
no,
well this season.
but
We got to get a rookie. Are we going Andrew
Wait,
Novak or McNeely?
I'm going
I'm
McNeely.
voting McNeely.
He has 6
Y'all are
top
some
10s this year.
haters.
I'm
He has
voting
6 top
McNeely.
10s.
All right,
Yeah.
so we've got McNeely. Haters. All right, Andrew. I hope they pick you now. Prove them wrong. All right, who are we going with next? This is where it gets really, really difficult.
So we got 2 picks left.
We
right?
got 2 picks left. Are we going a Harris English, a vet, who's played well, not great, but well this season? I mean, based on points, though, he's up there. Are we going to go a different direction and go with another rookie, which I don't think we will. I think are we? This is where you come down to. Are you going to go a Daniel Berger, Sam Burns, a Tony Finau?
Finau, yeah. See, I think you have to go with 2 of the Burns, Finau, Bradley, Harmon, English.
I
I
don't
think you got to go
dislike
2 of
Tony Finau.
those.
I think Tony Finau has been in a lot of these team competitions, and he knows the
He's just not
environment.
playing well right now, is he?
The only thing is he's not putting well at either. Like the one-handed putt
Yeah,
throws me off. I'm like, I don't
yeah,
know about this.
yeah. That's not ideal for a Ryder Cup.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm
That's
like, I don't know about it.
but now he's played all right. Like he's still like and sneaky. If he'll trend, give Max Homa. I really need him to pick it up
Hey, I
because
don't.
he's trending a little bit.
Man, his energy though, and yes. I mean, if he keeps playing well, he's definitely one of my picks. Not right now, but if he keeps trending and getting, playing better.
And here's the
Uh,
thing. This is the thing about the Ryder Cup is there's only 8. Like there's only 4 teams go out. Like the President's Cup, there's 5 teams go out. There's only 4 teams go out each time. So like you sit 4 players every time. So I got a feeling it's going to be a heavy dose of those top, Cantley and up, at least the top 7.
mhm.
Like it's going to be a heavy dose of those guys this year.
So who are we going with?
Are we considering Kepka
I'm not.
if he plays well in either of the last 2
He's going to have to really step it
majors?
up. I just don't.
How,
If he does,
I mean,
if he does in the 2
I think if he
majors,
plays well, yeah.
how about
he's got to play well though.
how about like a Patrick Reed? He finished 3rd at the Masters, didn't he?
I don't think there's
Or
any chance
second,
Patrick
third.
Reed is getting picked on this team.
I think he
don't
was at
either.
30. I think he's like 36th right now in points. But
He is. He's on up there. But we got to establish some guys that we've. So who are we going with? Are we going to go with a Daniel Berger?
I mean,
Trending.
he was on that Ryder Cup team there at Whistling Straits.
Yep. He was.
And then he went through the back injury, and really that was the only thing that kept him from being really good. I mean, he's worked his way back as soon as he got back from the back injury. I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna vote Sam Burns
I don't
just for his putter alone.
listen.
I'm gonna vote
I
Burns.
think they gave him his chance last year. He wasn't playing really that well, and he came out with the mullet and was right. And him and Scottie are big buddies, and that didn't do nothing. They got smashed. I am out on Sam Burns. So it comes down to Mason. Who you
Oh
rock?
man, he said I'm out on Sam Burns. I'm just looking through my list here.
Are we in
Uh,
consensus?
I,
Let's.
you know
Can we
what?
throw?
I'm gonna throw him in there just because he played well. I'm gonna go Brian Harmon. I'm gonna throw him in there.
Man, all
Oh
right, that's two for
my!
Brian Harmon. He's locked.
I'm gonna go Brian Harmon.
If we're giving, all right, well then I'm getting the
He's a
last one
match
because
play.
if we're
He's a
giving,
match play machine.
if Brian Harmon gets beat like
He's a
5 and
match play
7, oh my!
machine, Dylan. He is. You don't want to play him.
He he
He is. He's an alternate shot machine too, because he just kind of. I mean, right down like his game is
he's won this
built
year,
for
right?
alternate shot. Yeah, he won.
Yeah,
Yeah, in the field that nobody played in.
a win's a win, Dylan.
Winner. Man, that's like the tournaments like Novak has won though.
Yeah, that's true.
He won one of those with Ben Griffin.
Yeah, and he placed second the week before when JT won in at RBC Heritage. No, yeah.
All
All
right,
right,
Dylan, who's
so
your last pick?
man, I really feel like we can get a consensus between. All right, it's either going to be between. I've got three: Harris English, Daniel Berger, and
Finau.
Tony Finau.
Right,
And
based off right now.
my gut is saying do not go with Tony Finau because of how he's really struggling. But then again, my heart is saying Tony, Tony,
That's how I
Tony.
am. Uh,
Are we in agreement with Tony Finau?
Let's throw him on there.
I
He's a
The
rock
birdie
one
with it.
hand,
guy. He is a
I
birdie.
rock with it.
I will say this: Tony would be a really good four ball guy.
I mean,
I think
listen,
you throw him
he's
in for the four ball. Don't play him for alternate. Like you set him for the alternate. You play him during the four ball because he's a birdie guy.
yeah.
all right.
And you bring Brian Harmon in for the alternate shot.
And this is
Replace him.
where, like you said, Team USA just really drops. Because let me read our
Yes.
6 that we're sending. All right, so our next 6 that we're sending Ben Griffin, Patrick Cantley, Jordan Spieth, Maverick McNeely, Brian Harmon, and Tony Finau. Now let me read you Europe's next 6. John Rahm, Justin Rose, Ludwig Adberg, Victor Hovland, and then it could be a toss-up between Thomas Dietrich, Robert McIntyre, the other Hogarth twin, Aaron Rye, and Matt Wallace. But those first 5, John Rahm, Justin Rose, Ludwig Adberg, Victor Hovland. And
Stack.
Yeah,
Stack.
loaded.
Oh man, this is gonna be so tough on us.
Very tough.
Team USA could be in trouble.
the only
Let's
good thing
for
that we got is it's a home field advantage.
yeah.
And that's where I like whenever some people have said like what Spieth no you've got to throw Spieth, and the reason why is because we're in America, and Spieth and JT they're going to show up, they will, like, and you talk about being in New York, oh man, they're going to be, it's going to be crazy. I'm already getting cold chills just talking about it. Let's
It'll
go.
be it'll be fun to discuss. All right, well, we finishing up with Canadian picks.
Yeah. So this week we have the RBC Canadian Open. This is held at, actually for the first time, it's called TPC Toronto in Ontario, Canada. The course itself is right at 7,400 yards. It's a par 70. They had a lot of renovations done last year for the PGA tournament to actually be held here. So Mason, what are your just go ahead and throw out your picks, and if you want to elaborate on those, and then we'll go through ours, and then we'll get off here.
Yep. So first pick, I think Rory's going to have a bounce back week. He is playing this week, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think Rory's going to have a bounce back week. And then I think, I mean, obviously, couple of Scottie. I think he's not playing this week.
No.
No.
Scotty's not playing.
All right, Rory. And then I got a long shot here. You mentioned him today, Colton, I think, in our group chat. Luke Clanton. Didn't you mention him today?
Yeah,
Luke
his
Clanton.
first official as a member of the PGA Tour.
Yep. So I'm gonna take Luke Clanton as my long shot. And then I don't know. Let's
Glad
go
you
with.
done your homework, Mason.
Yeah, I didn't get to this one.
He's
Hold
just
on,
coming up with
network.
these on the fly.
Go, my boy JT. Is he playing this week?
He's gonna say JB Holmes.
JB.
Anyway, it said Scotty. Yeah, another day, Scotty.
I'm on
He
Me and
ain't,
Scotty.
Cohen,
he
me and
ain't,
Cohen are
I
like,
like
he,
I like Scotty,
he,
Rom, and Rory this week.
he ain't even. Scotty ain't even playing. He's still gonna win.
yeah. Oh, all right, Cohen, who you got?
Yeah, so I like I mean, obviously anytime like right now Rory or Scotty's in the field, like those are kind of like the favorites. But other than that, I like Corey Connors.
You dirty dog. I knew you was going to take
I
mine.
like Corey Connors. I'm always for this tournament. I'm always a Canadian
I am too. Don't do
guy.
it.
Nick Taylor.
Oh, my goodness.
He played
That's two of
well.
my three. That's
He
literally
played well last week.
two of
Yeah,
my three already
Corey
picked.
Connors, Nick Taylor, and then I don't know about the third. I mean, those are my top two, but just because they're Canadian. But then also, I
Well,
think I'm
let
going to
me
go with
hold
Love. I
on.
think I'm going to go with Ludwig.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that one.
I was going to elaborate for you. So Corey Connors, he is Canadian, but he also placed sixth last year, and then he placed 20th in 2023, and then he placed sixth again in 2022. So he has a resume of playing really well here. And then obviously Nick Taylor won in that playoff against Tommy Fleetwood, where he made that bomb 2 years ago. I mean, he played good last week, like Colton said. So yeah, those were two of mine. My long shot this week is going to be Justin Rose. In 2023, he placed tied eighth, and then the year before that, he placed tied fourth. So, Justin Rose, man, just talk about a guy who is just found a way to put his name on the leaderboard consistently, even at the age he is. He's just always the only downfall is that he always seems to show up and show out on the first two. And then the weekend, he kind of goes back to level par and doesn't really make enough birdies. If you've noticed in all of the majors and whatnot, he always plays great Thursday and Friday, and then he comes out Saturday, Sunday, and he stays in the mix. He doesn't mess up, but he just doesn't, go low or have one more round of where he pours in a couple more birdies. Yeah, good episode tonight, guys. I hope everybody who listens, if there's any golf fans out there, we'd love for you all to tell us who we were taking that you all would take as well to Bethpage, and who we should have left home. That's why we enjoy doing this. Anything you all got, guys?
Nope.
All right. As always, go
Go
Cats.
Cats.
The Cats.
That's a wrap for this episode of Bluegrass State of Mind. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, be on the lookout for our social media pages and be sure to follow them. We've got plenty more stories, insights, and conversations coming your way. And if you really loved it, make sure to share it with a friend. From the hills to the hollers, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep that Kentucky spirit strong.